This video is made possible by Practical Defense Systems, the best online security training at the lowest prices. You can start your security career today online at pdsclasses.com. Check them out.
Get ready for certified USDA prime gun stuff on the GunGuyTV podcast.
Hi, this is Joel Persinger. I'm the Gun Guy. Thank you very much for all of your support of GunGuyTV and of me personally. I'm very, very grateful. I get some great notes from people encouraging me to keep on doing this. And once in a while, somebody will send a little donation or something. And then we have a lot of support on Patreon, for which I'm very grateful. And oh, by the way, that's how this podcast works. The first half is available publicly on your favorite podcast player. And then we also post a video version which appears on YouTube and the other video platforms, BitChute, Vimeo, GunStreamer. We're still on GunStreamer, although I thought it was going to die, but it didn't, and I'm grateful for that, and some other places. So the video version is up there. There is no real video to it. It's just a thumbnail we throw up there, but it's a way for you to listen to the podcast if you'd like. Also on the video channels, because a lot of folks like to do that rather than use their podcast player. And then we have a lot of folks who use the podcast player because they listen to the podcast on the way to work or whatever. And I've been doing that a lot with other podcasts lately because I've been traveling a lot for Practical Defense Systems. In fact, I just got back yesterday, which is why this podcast is a couple of days late, and I apologize for that. Also, I should announce one other change, which I've got a video or two coming out in the next couple of days, so I've announced it there as well. And that is that in this month, which is August, the live stream I normally do on the second Tuesday of every month at 6 o'clock, I'm going to do on the second Monday, which is this coming Monday. So I'm going to do it on Monday instead of Tuesday because, once again, I'll be gone traveling on Tuesday, so I can't do it while traveling. So that kind of messes up my schedule. And I do apologize for all of that. Practical Defense Systems is the business my wife and I own, and I've just got a lot going on right now. So it's been kind of a crazy time, and as a result, it has thrown a monkey wrench in the GunGuyTV publishing schedule, getting videos out and podcasts and other things. So I ask you to bear with me there. We'll get back on track here as quickly as we can. Now, as I mentioned, or maybe I didn't, I don't know, my brain is going, and I'm only halfway through my first cup of coffee this morning, so forgive me. The first half of the podcast is public on your favorite podcast player, and then the second half will be on Patreon only. Well, while I was traveling, all kinds of cool stuff happened, so I want to talk with you about that, and some of it is very encouraging. Now, over the last couple of days, we've had all this stuff going on with National Rifle Association and the Attorney General of New York wanting to file a lawsuit against them, and indeed doing so with apparently the idea of destroying the NRA. Well, good luck with that. So let me make a few comments about that real quick. First of all, the NRA has had a number of problems over the last, 2-3 years or something. Many of the NRA members, including me, have lost some faith, if not a lot of faith, in the leadership of the NRA, to the degree that there's been an attempted removal of Wayne Lapierre and some of the board members who have been there a long time and arguably I think should be gone. That's my opinion, so take that for what you will. I'm just one guy, but that is my opinion. And there's been some disclosure, or at least some reporting. I don't know whether you would call it disclosure. There have been some accusations with regard to the inappropriate spending of money and the inappropriate use of NRA resources and some inappropriate behavior within the four walls of the NRA. Now, I don't know if any of those things are true, but those accusations have certainly been levied, and there's a lot of them. So I'm not going to get into the weeds there about that, because if you want to know about that, then there's lots of sources that you can look at to find out what those things are. And indeed, some of them were levied. Those were things that were levied against NRA by the Attorney General of New York. But here's the issue with her thing. So let me get into that briefly, and I'm not going to get in too much into the weeds of NRA, except to say, in fact, probably before I get into that, I should explain to you my take on NRA in general. As you may or may not know, I'm a life member of NRA. I have been a long time, as is my wife, and I do support the National Rifle Association. Do not take that to mean that I support Wayne Lapierre in particular, because I don't. I have in the past, in many respects. I've always thought of Wayne. And I should probably pause here and say that I have never met Wayne Lapierre. I do not know the man. I've never met him. We've never crossed paths ever. And he wouldn't know me from Adam, and that's fine. And I don't know him. He's just a guy, as far as I'm concerned. However, he may be a very talented chief executive, I have no idea, but he has never struck me as being a guy who should be the face and name of anything that wants to succeed, because when he's in public doing an interview or whatever, he seems to struggle to answer questions with any meaningful statement whatsoever other than to just repeat talking points ad nauseum. He does not seem to be able to do off-the-cuff things very well. It has to be very prepared, and he's not personable in any reasonable way. He's very stiff. In fact, he always kind of reminds me a little bit of Lurch from the Addams Family whenever he's sitting doing an interview, because he's extraordinarily stiff and extraordinarily dull. He's as dull as watching paint dry. So I've never been particularly impressed with Wayne Lapierre's public presence, and the idea that he was chosen as the public face for many years of NRA has always baffled me. But nevertheless, that said, he may be a great, or even, maybe just a good chief executive. If the allegations are true with Wayne Lapierre, then I think he needs to retire, and I have thought he needed to retire for a long time. And even if they are not true, then at some point in the near future, I think, and I think he should have done it a while ago, I think Wayne Lapierre needs to retire, because Wayne Lapierre at this point has become a millstone around the neck of the NRA and has dragged NRA down a lot because of these repeated attacks upon his character as an individual and his behavior as the chief executive officer of NRA. Likewise, I think there are a number of old-timey people in NRA who've been there for a long time on the board and in other places, and they need to go as well, because it would seem, at least to me, from looking from the outside in, that NRA in a lot of ways has become a place that has mirrored the swamp of Washington, D.C., and that the swamp has sort of infected the National Rifle Association, and that NRA has a swamp of its own, and that the chief swamp creature would be Wayne Lapierre. So there you go. There's my opinion. In the meantime, however, I still support NRA because I think NRA is, without a doubt, the most powerful Second Amendment organization that we have in this country, and killing NRA would be tantamount to killing our rights. So there you go. There's my opinion. You can agree with it or not. That's fine. We have a right to agree to disagree, and we have a right to debate things. So there you go. I've given you my view, and it doesn't necessarily have to be yours. Yours may be completely different, and if you'd like to share that, you can do that in the comments, or you could send me a note or whatever. Now, all of that having been said, do I think that we should be attacking NRA at this moment? And the answer to that question would be a resounding no. Our enemies attack NRA like crazy, and I am certainly not going to do it. So if you were to ask me today, as a brand new gun owner, if you're a brand new gun owner, should you support the National Rifle Association, my answer would be an absolute, unequivocal, unambiguous yes. I do. I don't support some of the leadership, and I don't support some of the foolish things they do. And I don't like the fact that they may be doing things with the money they shouldn't be doing. I don't know that that's the case, but that is what they've been accused of. But do I support the National Rifle Association? Yes. And here's one of the many reasons why, in addition to this AG thing, which I'll address in a second. It's an interesting little headline that happened to come out, I think, yesterday or this morning. NRA plans to spend tens of millions of dollars in battleground states. And one I read this morning, NRA endorses Donald Trump. Now, I don't know that Donald Trump had an instant success in his hands when he decided to run for president in 2016. I think everybody joked about him and thought he was kidding. I mean, a lot of people said they just thought he was kidding. But he was, all of a sudden he turned out to be serious, and then he was a force to be reckoned with. Now, I am going to I'm going to blow my own horn here and say that when he first announced his candidacy for president, I said to a great many people, and I may have said it on this show, I don't know, but I said it to a great many people, that if he's serious, which I wasn't sure whether he was or not, but if he was serious, anybody who looked at Donald Trump, if he's serious about running for president, and didn't take him seriously and didn't consider him a genuine threat and didn't think that he would probably succeed was a fool, because that's a man who does not like to lose, and he works harder than most people you'll ever find on the planet. And he doesn't give up. As you can tell, he's been looking at the battle he's been going through for the last 3 years. So I'm of the opinion that Donald Trump's probably going to get reelected, but I will give a lot of credit to the National Rifle Association for spending as much money, almost spending itself broke, in getting him elected. And if it weren't for the National Rifle Association spending the kind of money it spent and pulling its members along, Donald Trump might not be president today. I don't think we should forget that. Now, before I go any further on this subject, I should remind you that there are many ways to help GunGuyTV survive the current chaos, one of which is to use our Amazon link. You can shop Amazon and buy anything you like, from toilet paper to toothpaste to gun stuff. It doesn't matter. And whatever you buy, we will receive a little marketing fee that costs you absolutely nothing. It's the easiest way for you to support GunGuyTV and not spend one red cent. The way to do it is pretty simple. You just go to our website at GunGuy.tv, and at the top of the website on the homepage, in fact, I think it appears on every page, there's a little rectangular banner that talks about shopping at Amazon. If you click on that banner, it will take you to our Amazon link. Essentially, it takes you to Amazon, but it takes you to Amazon through our Amazon link. So the URL on the top of that Amazon page is different because it's our Amazon URL. If you then bookmark that Amazon page the banner takes you to, and use that bookmark every time you shop Amazon, start there. Go ahead and get that bookmark page and start at that bookmark page. If you do that, then no matter what you buy on Amazon, we're going to get credit for as a little marketing fee. Now, it doesn't amount to a ton of money, but you know what? Every little bit helps, and it certainly would help us keep GunGuyTV alive.
Shooting straight and always right on target. This is the GunGuyTV podcast.
Now back to the NRA. Just recently, I've given you my whole spiel now. Okay. Just recently, a local Second Amendment organization decided to go after the NRA. Now, I'm not going to tell you which one, and I'm not going to tell you where, because I don't want to get into calling people out here. But they did, and they made a video about it, and they made a big stink about NRA. And I thought that was very unwise at this time. We are in the middle of a presidential election cycle in which NRA support is more important than trying to get rid of people that we don't like in NRA. Wayne Lapierre perhaps being one of them. Right now, tearing each other apart and using this opportunity to attack one another is not a good thing. If anything, let's support one another. So I'm going to declare my support right now for the National Rifle Association, which I've done many times. I do think after the election is over that Wayne Lapierre should retire, and that we do need to drain the swamp within the National Rifle Association. But now is not the time to do it. The NRA is currently, according to a news article I saw, which I may have just mentioned. As I said, I'm half away through a cup of coffee, so if I haven't, I'll mention it to you now. There's a news article in which a member of NRA's management or something was quoted as saying that NRA has been increasing its membership by 1,000 members a day since June. Well, that's a really good thing. That's a good thing, because NRA's been struggling for a while financially and with some other things because of all the attacks on it. But if they're getting 1,000 members a day, that tells me a lot. One, it tells me people do support the National Rifle Association. It also tells me there's an awful lot of brand new gun owners out there who are joining NRA because they see NRA as a premier organization to protect their rights. And they're concerned they're going to lose their rights if basement Biden, if slow Joe Biden, if Joe Biden, I don't know, is this my sister or my wife, is elected. And you know what? I think they're right. If he's elected, we're going to have a battle for our rights that is unprecedentedly difficult. And we could very well lose them. So keeping Mr. Trump in the Oval Office is a very good thing, and keeping Joe Biden out is a very good thing. So the fact that people are joining NRA, I think, is very positive. Now is not the time for me or any other voice out there in the Second Amendment community, if we are a community, and I hope we are, to start ragging on NRA. If we're going to do that, let's wait till after the election, and then we can go after trying to drain the swamp within the National Rifle Association. Likewise, I would urge those who are part of other organizations not to use this opportunity as a bludgeon to beat NRA with for the purpose of expanding their own membership. It's time for us to pull together, not attack one another. And I got to tell you, I think that this attack on the NRA is going to backfire, and I'm not the only one. If you look at the news from yesterday or even today, you're going to see a lot of people commenting in that fashion that this attack on the NRA is going to backfire. In fact, Jason Chaffetz, I think is his name, is a former congressman or former senator or something. I don't remember. But anyway, he had an interesting statement the other day, and I read it. I had to find it for you. But this is his statement. I don't hear anything new with regard to the AG's stuff. I don't hear anything new, Chaffetz said. These allegations have been out there for a long time, and I haven't seen anything come of it. But one of the reasons Democrats keep going after the NRA is they're highly effective. This is a simple, easy argument for the overwhelming majority of Americans. You have a constitutional right to bear arms. And I agree with him. However, I don't think that's why the AG is going after them. I think the timing of it is obvious. We're right before, what are we, 86 days or 85 days or something from an election in which the swamp wants Donald Trump gone. The swamp wants Mitch McConnell gone. The swamp wants to take over both the House and the Senate, and I honestly don't think they're going to be able to do it. I really feel pretty strongly, based upon what I've read, that not only is President Trump going to get reelected, but the Republicans may take back the House, and that there's a strong chance that they're going to keep the Senate. NRA being part of that and pushing for that and spending money to make that happen is a key ingredient in making that happen. So killing the NRA would make a lot of sense for these folks. So they're taking this particular moment to go after them. And one of the things that tells me that, by the way, is if you look at the reality of the situation from the standpoint of the AG of New York, she's the Attorney General. And not being an expert in this stuff, I'll just share with you my thoughts on it, and then you can make of them what you will. But it seems to me that attorneys general focus on criminal things because that's their job. Now, they'll file lawsuits against other states or whatever, but they generally, as far as I know, they don't file lawsuits typically against organizations or individuals. Instead, they indict them and prosecute them. If the things that she is accusing NRA of were A, criminal, and B, so egregious that she actually had some serious evidence that they actually occurred, wouldn't she be prosecuting NRA? Wouldn't she be indicting Wayne Lapierre and others? But she's not. She's suing them. She's using the taxpayer dollars of the taxpayers of New York to sue NRA. She's not prosecuting them. Well, I just read a headline that said that NRA was going to spend tens of millions of dollars in battleground states. Let's see, how could you keep them from doing that? Maybe by draining them of tens of millions of dollars in frivolous lawsuits brought by attorneys general or whomever from other places. And by the way, I don't think she's the only government official trying to sue NRA. I think there's a lawsuit from Washington, D.C. as well, if I remember. But in any case, this is all nonsense drummed up because of the election. They're trying to injure the National Rifle Association and thereby keep gun owners from a victory that could be coming in November. So let's think about this now. If Donald Trump is reelected, which I hope he will be, and if the Republicans keep the Senate and perhaps expand on their majority there, and if the Republicans reclaim the House and have a decent majority there, we may very well see a renaissance in the Second Amendment that we have been hoping for a long time and never could see, because at that point, we have at least 2 Supreme Court justices that are going to need to be replaced at some point. I do not think that Ruth Bader Ginsburg, or Ruth Bader Ginsburg, or however she says it, is going to be able to stay in the court for another 4 years. She spends almost as much time in the hospital currently as she does at work. So at some point, she's going to be too old to do it, and she's going to have to step down, or she may pass away just of old age because she's getting up there. And then we also have other justices who are getting pretty old. There may be an opportunity for President Trump to replace a couple of the left-leaning, highly liberal justices on the Supreme Court. And if the Senate still remains in Republican hands and Mitch McConnell is still leading it, you can be pretty well assured that he'll be successful in doing so. He's been successful in appointing well over 200 conservative federal judges to the federal bench. Now, they're not all going to rule quite the way we would want them to, and some of them might turn out to be ringers and surprise us, but for the most part, they're going to change the face of the federal judiciary, which will allow us to win cases that we otherwise might lose. Essentially, President Trump is dismantling what the loony left globalists have been doing to our country for the last 50 years, and he's dismantled a lot of it in his first term. If he's allowed to have a second term, he'll probably kill the entire beastie, drain the swamp entirely, and we'll start seeing some fabulous things happen with regard to our rights. I have mentioned new gun owners a few times here, so I'm going to mention them again just because you may be one of them, or you may be a gun owner who has a gun for self-defense, but you've never really concerned yourself about what happens afterwards. So if you ever defend yourself with a firearm, you may get yourself one heck of a surprise. I urge you to check out some sort of Second Amendment insurance, some self-defense insurance of some kind. And there are a whole lot of companies that do that, one of which is called Second Call Defense. And Second Call Defense is a sponsor of the GunGuyTV podcast and of the GunGuyTV channel on YouTube and other places. They have been for a long time. They've been with me, I don't know, for 3 or 4 years now. I do use Second Call Defense, and no, they do not provide it for free. I actually pay for it. It is the coverage that I have in case I ever have to defend myself with a firearm or whatever legal weapon I might have. And in this particular world where things are getting more interesting, it's entirely possible that that might happen. I sure hope not, but if it does, I don't want to lose my home and everything I own and everything I've fought to achieve in my life because I have to sell it all in order to defend myself in criminal or civil court. That sometimes happens. So if you have a gun for self-defense or you carry a gun like I do every day, I urge you to get yourself some self-defense coverage. And I would urge you to try Second Call Defense. Now, if you do, I encourage you to go to our website at GunGuy.tv and click on the Second Call Defense tab, or if you scroll down a little bit, you'll find a banner ad for them, Second Call Defense. And that way, if you sign up for Second Call Defense, then they'll know that you did it through GunGuyTV and will actually get credit for it. That does help us to maintain Second Call Defense as a sponsor. So I do urge you to support them, and in doing so, you'll support us.
The opinions expressed by the Gun Guy are always right, unless they're wrong.
Now back to what we were talking about previously, which was the NRA and the whole lawsuit thing and the attacks on them. And by the way, it is kind of a concerted effort and coordinated effort. You're seeing this coming from various different quarters, all right before the election. So the fact that this is more political than it is actual is very transparently true. I think at this point, as gun owners, we need to support one another, and we need to support all of these organizations, and in particular, the National Rifle Association. Now, I realize people are going to get mad at me for saying that, but the truth is this is not the first thing I've ever said that people got mad about. And I do feel strongly about it. In January, when it's all over, and hopefully we have figured out who's won the election, I don't know, with cheat by mail, you never know, but I hope, then we can go back to what we're going to do to help the NRA be better and to drain the swamp at the National Rifle Association. But for right now, when we're facing the presidential election that could change the country entirely if the wrong guy ends up in office, I think it's time for us to stick together and not beat each other up. So I urge you to support NRA rather than attack NRA. They're already under attack from a host of different quarters, and they're defending themselves as best they can. By the way, I couldn't help but notice that no sooner did the Attorney General of New York file a lawsuit against NRA that NRA went back and filed a lawsuit against the Attorney General of New York. The one thing I will say for the National Rifle Association is they do have the capacity to defend themselves, and they're pretty darn good at it. They've been fighting this battle for a long time. And I will say about Wayne Lapierre, as the man is, or at least appears to be, tenacious, and perhaps right now that's exactly what we need. Now, like I said, in January, I'm happy to go back and revisit what can we do to get Wayne to retire and to get some of these other folks who have been in there a long time and are part of the NRA swamp out of there so that we can try to build the NRA into something even greater than what it is. But right now is not the time to do it. Do I think we should support other organizations as well? Yes. I am a life member of Gun Owners of America. I am a life member of the California Rifle and Pistol Association. I am a life member of the Second Amendment Foundation. I'm a member of Gun Owners of California, and I've told Sam many times if they offered a life membership, I'd be a life member there too, but instead I'm an annual member. I'm a member of the National Shooting Sports Foundation, and so on. And I support these organizations as best I can on this show and financially when I have the means to do it. But as I've said many times, I'm not a wealthy person. I'm a blue-collar working man. So there's only so much money I have to throw around. I'm just a middle-class guy here. So, unlike Joe Biden, I don't have a garage full of hot rods that I can show you while I'm promoting electric cars or whatever other stupid thing the guy does. So I can only do what I can do, but I do the best I can to support all of these organizations. And indeed, as I've said many times, even during all this turmoil, I am a life member of the National Rifle Association. I'm a proud member of NRA. I'm grateful for NRA, and I support NRA. I would just like to see some of the folks running it retire, and then we'll move on and try to make the organization better and perhaps at some point more powerful than it is now. However, now is not the time. I'll say it again. Now is not the time. We have less than 90 days to a presidential election that is vital to saving our rights. Donald Trump, whatever issues you may have with him, needs to be reelected as president of the United States. And the Republicans, whatever issues you may have with them, need to retake the House and keep the Senate. If we can do that, we can achieve a lot in this country in the coming years before Donald Trump is termed out and before things swing the other way. Right now, he is in the process of dismantling 60 years of globalist, leftist nonsense that we've suffered through. And he's done a pretty darn good job of dismantling a lot of it. And that's why there's such a battle to keep him out of office. And that's why there's so much hatred and vitriol. And just about everything right now is associated with that. All this civil unrest you're seeing in certain cities like Portland and Seattle and so on, it's all about Trump. I hate to say everything's about Trump, but it is. This stuff is all about keeping him out of office, and we can't get distracted or fooled by that. So as gun owners, it's super important that we support one another, stand with one another, and make sure that we try to keep our battle for the Second Amendment going. Now, people are going to get mad at me now. Again, I'm going to say it again. Is Donald Trump the perfect Second Amendment president? No, he isn't. He isn't. And you're never going to get one. You're never going to have a president of the United States that you agree with on all things. In fact, if you ever find a human being whom you agree with on everything, I'll be stunned. I never have. In fact, frankly, sometimes I don't agree with myself 100% of the time. But is Donald Trump right now our best bet to safeguard our rights and to save our country from all the damage done by previous presidents, Barack Obama et al.? The answer is absolutely yes, and we need to keep him in office. Well, I think I've run myself out of time for this first half of the podcast. In the next half of the podcast, we'll talk about the good things that have been happening lately and the victories we've been having. And we've had actually quite a few. We've had some notable victories in the state of California over just the last week, which I think are very interesting. And we're seeing some other victories as well. So I'll share those with you so that you can be encouraged that this battle for the Second Amendment and battle for our rights is winnable. We are winning. Now, we're facing some losses, too. Remember, battles are just battles, and the entire war, if you want to call it that, is a whole different thing. It's a collection of battles, and we need to win them strategically, and we need to win them often. We are winning. It's important to know that. You won't hear that in the mainstream Marxist media, as some people call it, but it is true. We are winning, and we're going to keep on winning. That's my faith, and that's my hope, and I want to encourage you with that, and we'll talk more about that in the next part of the podcast on Patreon. So if you're on Patreon, I want you to stick with me. If you're listening to the podcast on your favorite podcast player to the syndicated version, thank you so very much for all of your support. Have a wonderful week, and wherever you go, whatever you do, please be safe.
You've been listening to the GunGuyTV podcast.